For my presentation, I was in a group with Krista Korn, and we decided to do whether or not to lower minimum wage or not. So my section was to argue that we should not raise minimum wage. So before I get started with the debate portion, I just kind of wanted to go over the history of minimum wage. So according to www.minimumwage.org, minimum wage was introduced during the Great Depression to avoid exploiting thousands of workers that were working in sweatshops and factories and forced to work in horrible conditions for just pennies. President Franklin Roosevelt won the 1936 presidential election, and that's when he signed the FSLA, or the Fair Labor Standards Act, and that was in 1938. At this point, minimum wage was set for 25 cents an hour, and this was to maintain a quote-unquote minimum standard of living for necessary health, efficiency, general well-being, and this had to be done without substantially curtailing employment. Since then, every couple of years, it's been revised by Congress to account for inflation and the ever-rising cost of living. In 1997, Bill Clinton introduced the legislation allowing individual states to set their own wages. And as a result of this, several states now have minimum wages that are higher than the federal wage. So right now, 2015, our federal minimum wage is $7.25. It's been the minimum wage since 2009. So to start with my points of why you shouldn't raise the minimum wage, which a lot of Democrats are actually pushing for the minimum wage to go up from anywhere from between $12 and $15 an hour. So economics is all about the understanding of trade-offs and risks, and the trade-offs of raising minimum wage is kind of risky based on some of the past research that's been done. There was a British research project that was completed, and during this they figured that minimum wage has led to higher than average wage increases for the lowest paid, and this has had little adverse effects on employment in the economy. So one of the points is that not every city can afford the same as another city. So it's kind of a one-size-fits-all for every state and within the state as well. So for example, we have a state like New York, and there's a much higher cost of living in downtown Manhattan than there is for upstate New York. So it comes to be the point of whether or not a business that is in upstate New York can afford the same as a business in Manhattan. One other point is fairness to just workers in general. So a common concern is, and I found this on www.democratandchronicle.com, and it was written by the author Todd Clausen, and he said that there were many that argue, why should a fast food worker make as much as a job, or as much as a nurse or someone who's working a job that requires advanced training and more sophisticated skills? So going along with that article, I was doing some research on debate.org, and there are many people that think that it would discourage a lot of younger people, especially, from furthering their education if they were to make a good minimum wage compared to going back to school. So a lot of people on that website had said minimum wage should be reserved for those who are closer to their lower 20s and younger, those that are coming out of school and are just developing a work ethic, and it's not necessarily those who are looking to support a family that should be working in a minimum wage job. So another point that I came across, and this one was from an article that was written on Reason.com, and the article was titled 9 Reasons Why Minimum Wage is a Terrible Idea, is that there's already the legislation that every state can set their own minimum wage. So 20 states and the District of Columbia already have minimum wages that are higher than the current minimum wage. So in this case, they're saying, why should there be a federal minimum wage set when states and private industries are already taking care of this. So I just want to go through my resources, or the sources that I used, and they came from www.minimumwage.com, www.minimumwage.org, an article written from the NewYorkTimes.com, the website www.democratandchronicle.com, debate.org, reason.com, and an article that was written in Forbes.com. So a common debate that goes on all the time and is a large topic of concern for the upcoming presidential election as well.